Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and family beyond the binary, good evening and welcome to another Overwatch All-Star Brawl cast. My name is Warren Jungle God Hammond, and tonight I'm joined on the mic by Acronator. How are you doing tonight?
A little bit tired, worn out. I was busy moving places, so you'll probably notice my background is a little bit cleaner than usual. It's just because I was able to fit the screen behind me. There's plenty of mess behind it still. But I'm looking forward to this game. I've been watching these two teams over the past, what feels like forever now, a couple months
Right.
now, as they've been hammering back and forth in the Tier 3 scene. This has got to be their fourth or fifth matchup. A lot of familiar names like normal. Sloth, Red X, aka Black Stab Bud, is his current in-game username. That's completely a Red X thing to do.
Yep.
Catatrix on the side of Gaia. I've known them for a good amount of time in the community scene, so I love seeing those kinds of players work their way up to this level of play. So I'm hoping for a little bit of a slobber knocker.
Yeah, I think we've got that coming our way for sure. All of these players, top-notch players. Orion, also another fantastic player on Best Buds. He plays for the University of Colorado as well, who's doing excellent right now in the EGF League. So, lots of great players, lots of great Overwatch headed our way for sure. And I can't think of a better place to start it out than King's Row.
Yeah, well, it's basically obligatory to play Kings Row in any game of Overwatch, any series. It feels like it's just the most popular map in the game, and why would you pick anything else? I mean, Eichenwald is a good map, people like other hybrids, but Kings Row is just old reliable at this point. And speaking of which, we do also have the MVP poll live. It should be live right now, from what I can see.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yep.
That does look like it is live. So be sure to get those votes in. We will be letting you know the results of that poll at the end of the match, right before we get our interview. So I want to know what you think, Acronator. Each of these teams, do you imagine we're going to see anything outside of Brawl coming out?
That's a tough one because best buds like to throw monkey wrench into the works of their opponents,
That
but
they do.
they've struggled with Gaia in the past. They've overcome Gaia in the past as well, but it seems to be more when they just practice the fundamentals, right? So I don't know if they're going to get too crazy here on King's Row. It is like the quintessential brawl map. It's certainly possible to run something like a Wrecking Ball composition. I think those have been slowly making their way back into the meta as of late.
Yeah.
But on King's Row, it depends on what they've been practicing recently, which I guess we'll get a glimpse of, in a few minutes when we get into the map. But I wouldn't put money on it quite yet. Don't hold your breath on anything but the stereotypical Reinhardt brawl here.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We saw a few times in the Overwatch League the Wrecking Ball compositions coming out on King's Row, and it happened to really good effect as well. I believe the Shanghai Dragons even ran it at one point. So it's definitely a possibility, and it's definitely been shown to be strong. I mean, when the upper tiers of players are using it, then no reason that it shouldn't be doable anywhere else.
Yeah, definitely, but take that with a grain of salt when you say, "Oh, look, Shanghai can do it." Yeah, but they're also the best team in the world, right? These players are incredibly good compared to the average everyday comp game, but they're a few steps below like Shanghai, right? So I don't know how adventurous they're gonna get with this, right? I'd say like the most adventurous we'll see is maybe the AC-130 where they teleport like a Bastion up on top of the high ground, and if anyone would do it, it would be Gaia. They're on attack first. It would be funny if Best Buds tried it. Actually, Best Buds are coming out on this very interesting composition on the defense, potentially. Yeah, they're pretty much all out of spawn, so we're going to be seeing a little bit of a more poke-oriented brawl as opposed to like a Zarya or Diva. Let's the defense get like right in the opponent's faces with the Reinhardt Sigma, which is what Best Buds has right now. They're going to want to kind of kite and poke as much as possible. You have Sloth on that Ashe, and then if or when Gaia eventually do close the gap, you have Backstab Bud, aka Caffeine, on the Reaper to punish them for daring to get in their faces, and then the support's just stereotypical. Lucio Moira, so nothing too crazy here. You do have Gaia on the Wrecking Ball comp, so I'm going to be watching Astra Nexus to see how they decide to displace Best Buds, and if Best Buds even allows them to get them into an awkward position and displace them.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a really key part of this. You know, this wrecking ball composition does need to
What?
surround the other team, and right now we're
What?
just having a swap of both teams' positioning. It looks like it looks like yeah, the best buds decided to opt in, try and clear out this high ground as much as they could and prevent the wrecking ball composition from even having a chance to set up, and that looks like exactly what has happened. Gaia really, I think, caught off guard by this aggressive play coming out from best buds.
I think Sloth was caught off guard as well because they just kind of abandoned their Ashe in the backline mid-rotation. Sloth had nowhere to go, fell, but that was the only defender that fell, and Sloth's coming back on the Tracer, so that's going to be a lot easier to recontest. Probably going to not get caught out as much, right? I really like that rotation from Best Buds, minus leaving the Ashe to die. That was kind of funny, but probably not the best idea. It's a lot of damage now lost. But Gaia got no progress whatsoever, so they're once again at the very beginning of their push, and a minute and a half now gone. Oh, look at this collapse.
Yeah, that was an incredible push there again from Best Buds. They just descend onto Caddy Tricks, but Sloth has been taken out as well, so it's now a 5v5. Sloth's going to be able to get back in, but it still does favor the attacking team Gaia a little bit because those respawns are going to be faster, but they haven't really been able to capitalize on the pick just yet. They haven't got another one online, and that's going to allow Sloth to get back in this fight, and there they are, right back into it, getting a pick onto Haven right when they get back as well. Minefield committed now from Astro next, but Hammer and Backstab Bud coming in huge with a couple of picks of their own, and Gaia once again looking to be a little worse for wear on this attack.
Yeah, you're having Gaia having a really difficult time displacing, right? That's why a lot of teams don't generally run the wrecking ball composition, especially not on the offense. I like to call it the divide and conquer comp, but it's really hard to do that on King's Row, let alone on the attack of all things, because how are you going to displace the defense, especially when they're playing something like this where they're just sticking together no matter what? So it's going to be tough for them to gain any ground, especially when they only seem to be able to kill the DPS.
Ooh, yeah, but that is a big opportunity. First time Backstab Bud has been taken out of the fight with IBTV getting another pick. Now things look like they may start to go the way of Gaia. They have another one online as well, Hammer out of the fight. And so without that main tank, things are going to be a lot easier for them. And we see the picks starting to come in. Red X is out of the fight now from that focusing beam. One pick online already for Gaia. And with that, I think a second is shortly on the way. They are going to try and recontest this, though. Best Buds do not want to let them have this point. They are back in on point now. The progress has stopped, but the self-destruct is on the ground. It's not going to yield any kills. Astronex tries again with the minefield. Let's see if this one yields a few more results this time. Charge coming in from Hammer ends in their demise as IBTB is popping off once again. The Zenyatta cannot be stopped for Gaia, and with that, Gaia gonna be able to clear out the rest of Best Buds and take this point.
Not a lot of time, however. It's good that Gaia got first point, don't get me wrong, but just under 3 minutes is really nothing. That's gonna bleed away in a heartbeat on this Streets phase, especially the way Best Buds have been playing. They've just been playing the clock so incredibly well. They've been refusing to give up point control whatsoever, and I'd expect them to take as early a fight as they can. They're already coming back to recontest. You have the Death Blossom from Backstab Bud. You're going to have the Shatter from Hammer, as well as a few other ultimates like Sloth's Pulse Bomb. So Gaia does have stuff of their own, but Best Buds has definitely been setting the tempo of this game.
That they have. Shatter comes in, a nice 180 from Hammer, takes Doom, and Astronex lays them out on the ground, but Doom's gonna duplicate now that Diva, and with that, they get a couple of picks. Backstab Bud and Hammer both falling. Astronex getting in on the action as well, removing Orion from the fight. And with that, Gaia's gonna be able to continue pushing this part.
Yeah, a little bit weird from Best Buds there. They were hyper aggressive like always, but they seem to lack the composure. I think they maybe were feeling themselves a little bit too much, right? Hammer going for the style points on the Shatter, but at the end of the day, he was the only one to fall, so it doesn't really work in their favor, as well as the fact that a guy really only had to win that fight with a duplicate invested, so that's pretty good if you're the offense, right? It saves him a lot more time.
That it does. Another minefield committed to start things out from Astronex. Now, Doom trying to get in a couple of shots with that tri-shot, but not finding anybody in the moment. Here comes Backstab Bud with the Death Blossom, but it's going to be negated by Caddy Tricks and the Fidelum's defense matrix as well. Now we've got the rally committed by Katie Tricks, and once again, Best Buds getting pushed back. Gaia going to be able to hold on and continue into point 3.
Really weird engagements from Best Buds since they lost first point, right? First point, they were doing really good on rotating mostly together, everyone who needed to be at least, right? And maybe have a few flankers here and there, but otherwise, they were legitimately a death ball. That's how that comp is supposed to be played. But there you just had Backstab Bud running into the backline by himself, looking for a two-man Blossom right into a Diva that was not out of mech and still had defense matrix, so it feels a little bit less coordinated. Maybe they can turn that around though.
Yeah, we'll see if that's the case. Self-destruct coming in from Kai doesn't yield anything at the moment, but they are able to take Doomed out of the fight right after they remove Orion. We've got Red X who has to pop that sound barrier to keep their team alive now that Orion is out of the fight, but they are going to be joining them very, very shortly. Katie Tricks just responded, or just respawned as well, so they're going to be back soon, but not before Orion is back in the fight, and that's going to give a little bit of an edge to the Best Buds. They're starting to push back. Sticky Moms are able to take out the take out that turret.
Wait, that actually
doesn't land. Yeah. Unfortunately, once again, Astrodex with the minefield again to try and keep this off, but this fight just won't end.
Yeah, neither team wants to give up, but losing Red X is a good start for Gaia. Oh yeah, this is starting to look pretty good. Oh, wait,
yeah.
Sloth.
What? Yeah, there's been an equalization here. Sloth is out of the fight, though, after getting that pick onto Haven, so damage done right there, but it's still going to be a 3v4 on point. That is until the respawns start coming in for Best Buds. We see Backstab is back now, and on the Torb this time around to try and discourage this Wrecking Ball and Doomed from coming in. Self-destruct now online. Is able to take Doomed out of the fight. So Gaia not looking too great at the moment. Molten Core committed now, but somebody from Best Buds has to touch, and it's going to be Hammer as well as Backstab Bud. Sorry, that it was Red X right there, and with that, Best Bud's going to hold. Only 30 seconds left on the clock for Gaia.
Yeah, one fight territory. The one saving grace for them is that they do have the Bob, so they can toss that onto the point and not worry about contesting for at least a little bit, however many seconds or 1,000 some odd of health. But if you're the defense here, it's looking quite pretty. Red X has that beat once again. Hammer has the shatters to do that.
Ooh, and an excellent pin coming out, takes Astro next out of the fight. We've got Red X committing the sound barrier as well to keep their team alive, but it doesn't look like they maybe even necessarily needed it at that moment. Kai has the is pushing in now, but the self-destruct is out from Fidelum, but the picks are in for Best Buds, and that's gonna do it. They hold at the final stage of third.
Yeah, just a few feet there. So basically a full capture is what you need. Definitely holdable if you're Gaia. Yeah, it's not much more to say. That was a little bit sloppy from Best Buds towards like the middle part, but they definitely cleaned it up and got their acts together towards the very end. And of course, their first point hold was phenomenal. That was basically down to 30 seconds or so before Gaia was actually able to capture. That's about as good of a first point hold minus actually full holding that you can hope for on King's Row. It's not all too common that you get a full hold unless there's a massive gap between these two teams. And mind you, this is the first map, so maybe Gaia just need a little bit of warm-up to get the Wrecking Ball in tip-top shape. But we're going to get to see what these teams want to run, or at least Gaia wants to run on the defense here. More or less the same. Yeah, pretty much entirely the same. Haven on the Tracer, but other than that, just the Wrecking Ball composition we saw last time around. I don't blame them. It worked relatively well once they started to get their feet underneath them. Best Buds, on the other hand, mostly stereotypical brawl, besides the DPS being a slight variance from like the standard norm of like the Cassidy and the Mei, right? You're seeing the Reaper Hanzo variants. Then again, Caffeine, known as the Reaper guy, Sloth, disgusting on Hanzo. I don't question anything he does because he always proves me wrong if I begin to question it. So, yeah, man's a miracle worker.
That he is, and I think that first defense from Best Buds was classic Best Buds in my opinion. Very strong, a little bit wily, and full of unexpected twists and turns. Gotta love to see it. But the defense now for Gaia, looking to get pushed around just a little bit, but in similar fashion, Best Buds not able to really stay grouped up. Sloth getting hammered and taken out of the fight early on. Out of position right there. Probably looking for a flank, but just unable to stay alive. And now, Best Buds caught in a difficult position. They've got 5 of their team members, 4 of them rather, back here on the high ground, and Sloth once again on the Tracer, trying to poke out the low grab, but Astrodex is able to remove Caffeine from the fight. And with this, the defense looking still pretty good, but Doomed is going to be getting back to the fight a lot later than Caffeine.
Yeah, definitely. You had Sloth swap off of the Hanzo over to the Tracer, and I kind of did like a mini Great Bamboozle there because I don't think anyone was keeping track of the respawns, and now Best Buds almost have 2 ticks and have point control. So this is looking pretty good for them. That's a considerably larger time bank than what Gaia had. Oh, dude, that's like almost 3 minutes different.
Yeah.
2.5 minutes difference, just about. That's kind of good. Yeah.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I think, you know, right there at the end, it seemed to me as though Gaia could have contested that a little bit more, but maybe they wanted to go for this Arches hold right here. Because it is a very, very big choke.
Yeah, plus the Wrecking Ball comp actually isn't too great at recontesting, at least not against this kind of brawl, right? The brawl's stickier, so it's hard to really get in there.
Yeah, it is. You're really looking for picks along the rotations of this brawl composition, but right now the brawl composition continuing to move this point along. They've gotten considerably far. They made it through that choke. Backstab, rather Redix pops the sound. Barrier Sloth has the pulse bomb online, and it does connect. Actually, that was Haven's who hit, and Doomed with the duplicated Reaper coming in huge. This is gonna be a hold for Gaia right at Bookshop.
Yep, Doomed typing in chat Reaper gap. I saw that coming the second the duplicated Reaper came out. The Reaper, there's a reason that it was meta in this kind of brawl composition for quite some time, and giving an Echo that duplicate, a super fast Death Blossom is a recipe for disaster if you're Best Buds, but they were kind of already losing that fight, so I don't think they mind too much. They have plenty of time to waste here, get their rotations correct, build up their ultimates the way they want. And they might even want to take a dry fight here just to force out some more ultimates from Gaia so the next fight is even more clean.
Yeah, that's a good point. Depending on how this fight goes, I'm sure that's going to be an option. We have these Transcendence and Rally committed from Gaia. They are throwing everything in this. The minefield as well is going to be cleared out by Kai.
No,
but look at these picks coming in for Gaia. Sloth is able to get a counter pick as well, and Orion has now popped this Coalescence. It doesn't yield any kills, but it does keep their team up and cause a lot of pressure to stay on Gaia and keep them at bay, at least for the moment. Self-destruct from Fidelum doesn't land anything, but it's going to be Kai who starts things off once again for Best Buds. Going to be able to retake control of this cart and start moving it again.
That was a very high-risk, high-reward play because now that the rest of Best Buds that didn't die in the early part of that fight stayed alive thanks to the Coalescence, which I was curious about. They're able to recontest so much faster, and they're already moving the cart as opposed to just full disengage, no wiping, resetting, all that. So that was actually a pretty good play and a really good tempo play from Best Buds.
Yeah, it really was. Orion on point there with that Coalescence, seeing that opportunity. Kai is going to be demeched early on in this fight by Doom, so there's a little less protection now available for this brawl composition, and the Stranex is going to try and take advantage of that by a big pile drive in the backline, but Redix is there with the Sound Barrier to keep their team up and alive and allow them to push in very, very hard. 2 meters left to go before they capture this second point. Coalescence once again online by Orion, and that's going to push out the rest of the members of Gaia.
Oh, that was great pressure from Hammer. Doesn't even matter that he died there. He did his job in keeping Gaia off the point and got them second point. 3.5 minutes, that's great coming into this. Because remember, if they get to the end of, like, you know, the golden box of victory, it actually is the golden box of victory, not the golden box of continuation. So this is perfect for Best Buds. This is all they ever need. They're coming up on both tank ultimates. They're going to have the pulse bomb soon enough, which is basically just an over-glorified cooldown. But I mean, if you're Sloth, you take those. And Gaia don't really have that much. I mean, Haven swapped over to the Hanzo just now. The next closest thing they have in terms of ultimates is Fidelum's bomb, which might be able to buy them a few seconds to engage the way they want, but it's still going to be awkward dealing with so many ultimates at once.
Yeah, that it is. Here comes Kai with the self-destruct now thrown into the back line. Can the supports get out of the way? They do just in time. Shatter comes in from Hammer. It's going to take Astronex down, and with that, Hammer falls as well, but there's no DPS left online for Gaia. It's up to the tanks and support now to keep this defense going. Self-destruct from Fidelum does buy them a few seconds, and now Astronex is trying to contest point, but they go down very low after committing the minefield. they are going to be removed from the fight. They weren't able to stay alive. And now with Orion committing the coalescence once again, this is looking very good for us. The beat layered on as well by Red X. Got to keep their team up. Got to keep the pressure on. Fidelum just about out of mech right now. Astro next back in the fight there. They're going to be able to start the stall, the spin to win maneuver, as it were. But the kill still coming in hand over fist for Best Buds. Sloth is out of the fight. Gaia is demech though, so things are maybe a little bit iffy now, especially with Kai going down to a pick from Haven. Looks like Gaia might actually be able to hold. Hammer is back in the fight though, and Best Buds get 2 more picks on the back of this recontest coming in from Hammer. And now with Fidelum going down very low, they're going to be demeched as well. Pulse Bomb comes in, lands on IBTV, and with that, Best Buds are going to clear away this point and take the first map win on Kings Row.
Ooh. That got really dicey there. Gaia did lose, but it was a really good defense. I don't know what PR is supposed to mean, but that is what Best Buds are typing in chat.
Personal record? I don't know.
Personal rec.
That doesn't make sense to me, though.
Either way, yep, here we go. Doomed with duplicate. Oh, couldn't quite boop him far enough away, but that's fine. The fight was already lost, and I think the best way to sum up that entire map is just Best Buds had really solid tempo the entire way through, even in the Streets phase and second point where they were getting a little bit sloppy. They were at least making those mistakes fast so they can reset, get another fight, and have more opportunities to clean up their act, and they did. Right? It's looking pretty good from Best Buds. You know, I think they're trying to make a statement here.
Yeah, that they are. And, you know, I think Gaia tried to make a statement as well, saying, we don't need to run the Brawl on Kings Row. We can run this other composition. And while it didn't quite work out for them, they did show signs of promise. But I have to wonder if we wouldn't have seen a little bit different result if they had run with the Brawl instead. But maybe now that the map choice is in their hands, they're going to have they're going to pick something that plays into them a little bit better.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, Best Buds does have the choice of what map they want to ban next. Interestingly enough, they banned Blizzard World, which feels a little bit funny because they couldn't have gone to another hybrid anyways, but I mean, they really must not like Blizzard World. And now Gaia gets a chance to choose the next map, which is, there's a lot of options, basically anything besides another hybrid map for the time being. So they can go to, you know, Assault, they can go to Control, they can go to Escort, right? Any of those 3 kinds of maps, and there's plenty of different options in that pool. While they're choosing, now is a good time to remind you all that the MVP poll is live in the Twitch chats. That will determine who we interview after this map. It doesn't have to be from the winning team either, so if you really want to see someone from Gaia get interviewed after this, vote for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Game isn't over yet, though, so Gaia could still end up being the winners. It is remaining to be seen. And I think if Gaia is going to look to remain with this Wrecking Ball composition, I would expect them to go to something like a Control map, because it's a lot more deathmatchy, and I feel like that's going to favor the Wrecking Ball composition a little bit more. And that is, in fact, what they are going to do. They're going to go to Volskaya Industries, which I think the ball is an excellent pick on as well.
Yeah, definitely. There's actually that seemed to be a pretty standard pick, even if you look towards like the Overwatch League, towards the playoffs there a few months ago, or just a month ago. I don't know. Time is an enigma at this point in in the world, but either way, it's very, very common to see the Wrecking Ball composition in Volskaya. A lot of hard flanks. It does look like Gaia wants to defend first, or rather, no, actually, Best Buds got to choose, so they want to attack first. Either way. Same end result. Gaia is defending first, so we'll get a better look of what they want to run. First and foremost, Best Buds can meme a bit and spawn if they so desire.
Which I imagine they will.
Yeah, I am kind of expecting to see a Wrecking Ball composition, maybe something like a double bubble, but I haven't seen that on Volskaya in quite some time, like since earlier to midsummer, right? So I don't know if they would want to run that.
It was kind of a classic comp to run there. You know, having that Winston on the middle high ground there just allows them to really control almost any point on the first point of Volskaya Industries. And so it was a very common composition, but Wrecking Ball can do the same thing and potentially even better, even on defense.
Yeah, definitely. We still have about 20 seconds before we get any peek at what Gaia wants to run. Oh yeah, I mean, looking at Best Buds, I know for at least a brief period they were very competent on the Wrecking Ball composition for a little while there, towards like the middle of the summer when it was at its peak of recent times at the very least. Um, yeah, so Gaia, yeah, no surprise here. They're sticking with the Wrecking Ball composition. Fidelum is on the Diva, seems to be pretty standard. Haven on the Ash. No reason to not have some form of sniper on this map. And actually, as I say that, very, very similar composition on the side of Best Buds, with the exception of, well, of course, Backstab Bud, aka Caffeine on the Reaper. I think that's just standard at this point. I don't know if there's ever going to be a swap there outside of maybe the occasional tour, but the support line is rather interesting. Red X on the Lucy and Orion on the Moira. They're obviously very good on those heroes, but okay, so we do actually have Best Bud swapping back over to like a Brawl. Those supports make more sense for that tank line as opposed to a Wrecking Ball, where they wouldn't really be able to reach the Wrecking Ball. So I was a bit concerned, but nope. Okay, it's all working out. It makes sense now.
Yeah, that it does. Sloth there on that Tracer gonna allow them to contest some of these flanks a little bit more and to potentially make a flank of their own. We see high ground being rotated to by Best Buds. Astro next tries to disrupt them just a little bit, but ends up not getting a whole lot done. Doom, though, gonna be able to take Red X out of the fight, so things are looking good for the defense, at least starting out.
Yeah, right now it feels like Doomed is just kind of free farming. I mean, they're basically already halfway to a pulse bomb, which is by far the closest ultimate on the board, even compared to Sloth. They're going to need to find something to deal with that, whether that's sending Sloth out to help Kai deal with the flank or something, because it's not working. Oh no, this is a terrible stagger on the Kai.
Yeah, this absolutely is. The DMEC and the death comes in very, very quickly. Now Hammer, Orion, and Caffeine are up on that high ground. Never mind, they were on that high ground. Now they're getting pushed out hard. Hammer says, I'm done with this. See ya. Yeets himself onto the edge and goes back to spawn.
Oh, Sloth. I get the feeling that's just a big stagger. Yeah, no. Wait. No. Okay.
Yep.
No, maybe a bit too hopeful there on the attempts to find a stagger kill. If Sloth did manage to get IBTV, that would have actually been quite large because they didn't have anything to get him back faster. But no such luck, in about a minute and a half down on the clock. So Best Buds, they don't have much to work with, and now they have to start worrying about Gaia having ultimates like this.
Yeah, that they do. Here comes the pulse bomb. It doesn't find any value this time around, but Astronex is going to be there very quickly, as is Haven with the Bob as well. Astronex takes Sloth out of the fight, and oh, look at that. Both DPS down now and out. Gaia doing an excellent job defending this point so far.
Yeah, now they're just stuck in this little corner. They almost have to just wipe at this point. I mean, they could probably wait for Sloth to get back, but their Reaper is not going to get back anytime soon. Sloth going on a long flank, so they're just eating into their own time bank at this point. It's getting hairier as... Oh, no. They're not allowed to exist.
Oh my gosh, what a boot coming out from Astronex. And once again, Best Buds, they have to throw themselves off the point to try and regroup and try again. They are just getting picked apart again on these rotations, which is exactly what you want to see out of this Wrecking Ball composition. Their defense is looking phenomenal so far.
Yeah, they're playing it perfectly. You want to divide and conquer mid-rotation if you're this Wrecking Ball comp, and they're doing exactly that. Forced swaps from Best Buds. That's pretty hard to do, all things considered. Sloth now and the Genji. I mean, they have the Coalescence from Orion, but how are they going to push in with it?
Yeah, they're going to have to try, but it's going to be tough. They have swapped over to more of a six-man dive composition, except with this Genji, which is interesting. And speaking of which, they're taken out very early on by Haven. We've got the Transcendence committed now by IBTV to try and keep their team alive. Tuned in with another pulse bomb, and it lands! This time taking Caffeine out of the fight. And with that, but Red X does come up with a nice kill onto Astronex as well. So things aren't over yet for this Best Buds team. Now they're pushing in hard. They've got Red X, who has popped that sound barrier to keep them up and alive. Katie Tricks now on the, uses that ability as well to keep their team up, but just barely able to miss keeping Haven in the fight. And now with Sloth out once again, this defense looking good for Gaia.
Yeah, Doom's trying their darndest to keep the point contested. Finally, a tick is yielded, but they have 10 seconds left. Like, this is final fight. If Gaia gets any amount of progress to come back in this could get really bad for Best Buds.
Yeah, that it could. A couple of counter picks
Oh,
come in.
no.
Doomed has Backstab Bud out of the fight, and 2 ticks are online now, crucially for Best Buds. Can they make it a third and see the last point? They're gonna try to not. Sloth comes in with a kill, but it's equalized by Doomed, and they're going to town right now. They've got Hammer back on the point on the Wrecking Ball now, but the kill's still coming in favor, though Sloth is able to get one picked up, but he is traded out very quickly. And with this, it's gonna be a hold, I believe, on Volskaya. I don't know if Hammer's gonna be able to get back to point. He finds the whip shot from Caddy Tricks, and that's gonna do it. What a hold from Gaia.
So, now that the stats aren't up on the screen for now, guess how many deaths Doomed had on Tracer that round? It was 0 is the answer.
Jeez.
They didn't respond whatsoever, and I believe Fidelum also had 0 deaths. Yeah, that is the case.
Yeah.
So you just had the Diva and the Tracer going ham on Best Buds every time mid-rotation. I mean, heck, when you have let's see, actually, am I reading these stats correctly?
Kill deaths assists, so deaths is in the middle. Yeah, there were 3 players actually on Gaia who did not die that round. Fidelum,
Catatrix,
Doomed, and Catatrix. I mean, that's unreal.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
IBTB only died once. That's the Zinnia. That should be like the primary target for Best Buds. They just couldn't get to him. He was like a tank behind like the entire cavalry of the rest of Gaia. They were just doing a great job, and Best Buds couldn't breathe, right? And now, obviously, you have Gaia more or less on the exact same composition, swapping up the DPS now a little bit, but they're also on attack in spawn, so they can do whatever they want for the time being. Best Buds, on the other hand, I mean, they're teasing that same composition they tried to capture the point with, and actually did get 2 ticks and a little bit of change at the very end there, but is that going to be enough for defense, especially when you're kind of playing like a rush with a Winston against a composition that's meant to play split, right? You're going to have Astronex and Doomed go off on their own, and the other 4 are going to kind of stick together. So who do you dive on?
right, exactly. It's going to be a tough question to answer on the side of Gaia, but I'm certain they've got an answer for it nonetheless. We see already them starting to push in. They're trying to surround this Best Buds team as well as they can. Pick comes in, though, in favor of them. 1 on each side. So it is a 5v5 right now. We have entered Overwatch 2 territory, at least for the time being. Both respawns gonna make it out before another kill is in the book for either team. So the fight breaking out now hard on point. Once again, Gaia has completely surrounded this Best Buds team. Can they pick them off? We've got Caffeine in the high ground, but Hammer goes down very early on in this fight, and Doom picks up the pace, catches Orion. Minefield already committed by Astronex, gonna be able to secure this point and allow this, going to allow this offense to push on. They're gonna get 1 tick. Can they get a second? It's looking like it, and that's gonna do it. Gaia coming up with a quick win on Volskaya Industries.
I still don't know what PR means, but okay, it means Poggers round, apparently.
There we
go. More PG than what I was fearing, but, you know, that's good. Best Buds have some sportsmanship
decorum
for Gaia at this point. They're basically arch nemesis. So I guess it's good to say they can be a bit cordial as well. IBTB certainly survived way more than any Zenyatta should. 45% kill participation despite all the awkward sight lines and whatnot. Doomed certainly making a name for themselves as MVP, which, cool transition into the MVP poll, which is still live. We still have at least 2 more maps because both of these teams are 1-1 in the series. So you have plenty of time to get that vote in if you want to, wait an extra map, because you're guaranteed to see at least 2 more before you really decide who you want to see interviewed at the end. You have time, but if you have some inkling of consideration now, it's open. Go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of players making a case for themselves on either team. I think Astronex popped off that last map, did an excellent job disrupting Best Buds, not really giving them an opportunity to regroup and, contain themselves. And now with that one, it's going to be up to Gaia to pick a map to ban this time around. And Best Buds, it's going to be their turn to choose where they want to go. So lots of interesting choices coming up for each team.
Yeah, definitely. They really have almost every map in the pool still available outside of obviously Volskaya, Kings Row, and
Blizzard
what
World.
was Blizzard World, right? That's the one they
Yes.
banned, so they wouldn't go there anyways, as well as any other 2CP map because they can't go to the same style of map twice. Gaia does ban Nepal, so we're not going to be seeing that, which honestly could have played very well into Best Bud's Reinhardt Brawl style. So I'm not too
Yeah.
shocked that Gaia got that one out of the way. Saying no, not going there. You have no opportunity to go there. Pick somewhere else, right? There's still plenty of maps that they
Right.
can go to that might play into that brawl, however. So Gaia certainly are going to have to be wary, and I'm sure they've kind of expected this, right? They certainly seem to expect it on Volskaya.
Yeah, absolutely. And the interesting thing is, once again, yeah, Nepal was banned, and that's another control map. So each team going to ban a map in the type they just played, which I think is fascinating. But yeah, like you said, maybe they just really hate Nepal and just similar to Best Buds with Blizzard World, they just don't want to go there. So very, very interesting choices, I think, for the map ends coming out from both sides here. But you know what? They've played themselves many times. They probably know what the other team likes to go to. So maybe they're just kind of nixing these before they have a chance to start.
Yeah,
Ooh,
well,
but we are going to be going to Lee Jong Tower next, and I personally am thrilled about this. My favorite map of the game. It is my background. Gotta love it, and I think it is just as classic as King's Row.
yeah, definitely. I think it is probably one of, if not the most popular control map in the game. So, I do personally, I love it as like a first map of a series because it has a good variety of styles that can be
Yes.
played on all three rounds, right? You can see really anything on any given round. Night Market, Control Center, Gardens are all so different that honestly both teams here with their styles that we've seen them like to play so far have certain strengths and weaknesses. I think the one middle ground map is probably going to be Night Market, just because you can play the Wrecking Ball comps, you can play the Brawl, and it kind of
Yeah.
depends on like how you deal with ult economy as well as rotations and just like tempo in general to win that map. But obviously, I think Best Buds are be favored on Gardens just because it's so big and open and like the perfect playground for this Wrecking Ball comp they seem to love.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I hope we do get a chance to see Night Market because I think out of all three of the sub maps, it's going to be the most fascinating to see because just like you said, you really can't play either of them. We are going either the rush or the
Oh,
ball composition, but we are going to Gardens first. So this does play into the hands of Gaia a little bit more. Wrecking Ball really going to be free to do a lot of disruption and damage on this map.
yeah, definitely. However, Best Buds also seem to be somewhat comfortable, albeit they kind of got stomped while playing it, but I don't know if that was the composition's fault. They can certainly try and play that like Winston Rush composition. We have seen a little bit of
Yeah.
six-man Shadow Dive, whatever you want to call it, in the past be played on this. Certainly, they're teasing the vast majority of it outside of the Reinhardt right now. Zero surprises in the fact that Guy is playing this Wrecking Ball composition. The Symmetra is actually pretty standard as well, although that might just be a quick teleport out of spawn to get the team there and swap to like a Tracer or something like that. Uh, we'll see in a few moments as the gates open up. It looks like, yeah, Best Buds are sticking with the Reinhardt, so they're just going to be going in the faces of Gaia and try and play fast so that they don't have an opportunity to react.
Yeah, crucially, they do have Sloth on the Sombra as well, and that's going to put a stop to a lot of Astronex's plans. I think at least, if not during the plan, at least beforehand. But Astronex going after Sloth aggressively to try and get them to translocate away, so that now they can have a few seconds of peace and allow them to start to push in, and it worked out well because 2 picks online already for Gaia. They've got Red X out of the fight as well as Sloth, so now this Wrecking Ball is free to go to town, as it were, and there's going to be a pick. A Backstab Bud is able to find Haven out, but the majority of the kills coming in vastly in favor of Gaia.
Yeah, definitely. It's really great discipline there from Gaia to scout out the translocator, force Astronexus to get the translocate out from Sloth, and then just collapse in him. And then Doom just cleans up everything. That's going to be the point to Gaia to start things off. And I mean, when you look at their ultimates as well, they're pretty scary right now. The Transcendence by itself is Best Buds doesn't have an answer to the Transcendence, and then Doomed is building up very quickly to that duplicate. There's plenty of really scary targets there that they could copy if they so desired. Action Next is going to have the minefield pretty darn soon, so this could be a little bit of an old fiesta from Gaia if they really want to hold on to this.
Yeah, it certainly could be, but it's going to be Orion popping the Coalescence first. Caddytrix uses that rally in response. After next commits the minefield off of point. Not entirely sure if that was the best spot for it, but it's going to make things hard for... Oh, it's going to make it really hard for Best Buds to back up. There's going to be Red X getting a pick on the Fidelum, but it's not going to be enough to stymie the bleeding. And once again, Gaia comes up with this fight win.
I don't think Doomed meant to duplicate the Lucio there, but they got a beat out of it, which is impressive because that's not very common, right? Lucio's one of those duplicates where it's like, oh, well, guess I'll get out of duplicate now and just kind of not exist anymore. But I mean, it works. They got a lot of extra health on top of it. They saved the Transcendence, which is actually quite large because now it's mostly on pace with Sloth CMP, actually quite a bit faster as of right now. So that's going to be probably the thing to look out for in this upcoming fight. Sloths more than likely, yeah, they're already flanking around looking to scout out wherever IBTB is and deal with that from there. Yep.
Oh, and there it comes. It's going to catch both supports of Best Buds. They're going to go down kind of low, at least IBTB is, and in the meantime, Best Buds are able to take the point right out from under the nose of Gaia. And there's going to be a pick, Caffeine, starting out on Catatrix right there. That's going to force IBTB to pop the Transcendence as well. Astronex with the minefield, going to be cleared away by that shield of hammers very quickly, but Fidelum does take Sloth out of the fight. The counter pick comes in though, so now it's a 5v5 on each side. Hammer's shield has gone down, so now Doomed uses that duplicate to copy the Tracer this time around. They seem to have a hankering for those supports of Best Buds this time around. They use that Coalescence to start to push out the rest of Best Buds. Astronex coming in with a nice pile driver as well. Fidelum going in with a charge from that Diva, but it's gonna be Best Buds coming back in. They've got 45% on this percentage after having snuck it away right underneath Gaia, and that's gonna be a fight win for Best Buds.
Yeah, definitely. They didn't really even have to worry about IBTV there. They sent a few people after him, but then he landed like a headshot and a body shot with Discord, and they just all ran away. They're like, oh, okay, you can stay there. We're just going to worry about the rest of your team. He still hasn't died, which is quite frankly insane. Like, literally has 0 deaths. Normally, that'd be like the primary target for these compositions, which might be why these fights are dragging out so long for Best Buds. But I mean, they have control of the point. They're doing pretty good thus far.
Yeah, that they are. Shatter comes in and is booped away. Hammer's Shatter doesn't land, but Red X going to be there with the amplification matrix to keep everybody up. Catatrix is out of the fight by an excellently placed pulse bomb from Sloth, but Fidelum wants to equalize. It's not going to be enough though, as the kill still coming in favor of Best Buds, but in the meantime, the point is being backcapped by Astronex. Sloth comes in with a couple of big picks right there. Can Gaia get away with this point? It doesn't look like it. And now things are really starting to look rough for Gaia. Best Buds in control of the point. They've got the self-destruct online and no one can touch. This is going to be the first sub-map going to Best Buds, and this was Gaia's map to lose.
Yeah, it really was. In terms of compositions alone, Gaia definitely had the advantage there. But of course, it's not the composition, but how you play it, especially at this level. And now we're going to the round that is kind of up in the air as to who is more favored, right? Based off of how Best Buds played the previous round, I have to lean towards them, especially because they're teasing right now some interesting stuff. I'll have to wait and see what they do when the gates open, whereas obviously Gaia at this point are just sticking with what they know. It seems like I'd expect them to even keep the Symmetra this time around, but okay, we're just seeing the Ryan Zarya brawl from Best Buds, and they actually get to the point faster. No real surprise, I guess.
Yeah, they got there very, very quickly, even without using that window TP this time around. They're going to be able to take control of it, but that's going to allow Gaia the chance and opportunity to start to surround them, and we already see that happening. Astra next on the opposite side of Haven, and we've got the main core of the composition, the supports on main as well. So expect this dive to come in soon, and there it is. Slotho trying to keep Astronex at bay, and it's going to be Orion who comes away with the final blow right there. to remove them from the fight. Best Buds comes away with this point capture with relative ease.
The difficult part about this point for the Wrecking Ball composition is that they really want to get to the point first and force the fight to take place in the little courtyard, because it gives the Wrecking Ball more places to actually set up for disruption. Okay, interesting. Zarya duplicate. Let's see if they can build a grab.
Yeah, they are already almost there, but they are removed from that duplication far before they're able to get value with it. But the value has come in from other members of the team. Counterpicks coming, though, in favor of Best Buds. It's now anybody's game on point, but they have control of the point, so this fight going longer just works well for them, but it might be over soon as there's a couple picks coming in heavily in favor of Gaia. Charge comes out from Hammer, but he's removed by some Storm Bows from Haven, who is just popping up, and with that, Gaia gonna reclaim this point.
And now it's gonna start to be a little bit difficult for Best Buds, assuming they don't recontest within the next few seconds. While Gaia is setting up, now you have the minefield from Astronexus, you have the rally from Catatrix, so it's going to be very difficult for Best Buds to get to the point. Kai... Okay, well that's a good start, so ignore everything about what I was going to say about the Roadhog pick, because the Doomfist pick is more significant, apparently.
Yeah, that it is. Now there's going to be a minefield. Sound barrier committed as well. Dragon Strike comes in to try and clear away a couple members of Best Bud, but it doesn't look like it's going to have much effect. And now Best Bud's starting to capture this point. It's just Fidelum on point now, and they don't even have a mech. Astronex is in there at the last moment, even under their control. And IBTB coming up with a big kill onto Sloth as well. Duplication comes out onto Doom, and I imagine we're going to see a whole hog here in short order. And there it is. Got to be pushing Backstab Bud off the point. They go down to a watery demise. And with that, Gaia has just about equalized the capture percentage of Best Buds.
IBTB is an utter monster. Like,
Yeah.
the Doomfist goes straight onto him, gets maybe, down to 50 HP, gets most of those shields, and just annihilates Sloth. That's no easy feat. Like, Sloth is a monster by himself, right? So to be able to do that to him is kind of gnarly. You do have a very quick rotation onto the point. They don't want anything to do with that courtyard because Astronexus can set up there.
No, and that once again yields them point control as well. Gaia gonna give it up. They're gonna try and win this fight quickly though. We've got the minefield committed, but Sloth once again comes in with a nice pick there, and the Jeff Blossom clears the point of all those dangerous Wrecking Ball 9s. And now Orion has this Coalescence, which is gonna push back very hard against the members of Gaia, and they're gonna reclaim this point, and now they are a little bit in the lead. But look, the back cap is now coming in from Astronexus. Hammer gonna charge back to contest them though, but that's gonna leave their front line pretty exposed, at least for the moment. But we're entering last fight territory as well for Gaia. And Doomed goes down once again to Sloth. This Doomfist pick proving to be quite painful for Gaia.
That was before the fight even got to break out. We're in one fight territory, and they're missing a huge portion of sustained damage. The Shatter, there's nothing to block it. Oh no.
Yeah, and that's gonna yield to Fidelum getting removed in rather quick order. Overtime ticking down, and oh my gosh, Astronexus is there at the last moment, but it's hardly gonna matter because the picks so heavily in favor of Best Buds right now. Overtime starting to tick down. They just have to get these last couple of picks out. There's a self-destruct on point, trying for a last-minute Hail Mary. Doesn't quite yield anything. Doom's gonna be charged out of their duplication. Self-destruct now online from Kai. With that, oh my gosh, the overtime just about ticked over. Catatrix doing everything they can to try and stay up here, but Doomed is able to get Backstab Bud out of the fight during that Death Blossom. Things might not be over for Gaia yet, but it is still looking a little bit rough. Catatrix is down. Now it's just up to this Blast Cannon ID, IBTV, and the rest of the members. AstroZenix on point to try and get something going. They do not want to let this go. They are fighting for everything they're worth, but it's not going to be enough, and that does it. Best Buds go up 2-1.
They didn't even get to play the round that we expected them to be strongest on, Best Buds.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a statement, dare I say. More than anything else, Doom's getting play of the game. I don't know what this could be. It's not,
it's not a duplicate. That's interesting.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, but some excellent play right there. Getting a couple of key members out of that fight, and that was very early on in the round as well. That yielded some great early results, but not quite enough to give them the win this time around.
Nope, but Kai was the probably the final fodder to bring that play of the game over into our feed, as it were. So good stuff from Doomed, but actually good stuff from Gaia in general. IBTB
Yeah.
had their moments as well, but Best Buds just played at what felt like a breakneck pace. It didn't they didn't allow Gaia to really set up the way they wanted to, especially not on Night Market, but even on Gardens where they
Yeah.
should have been able to. It felt like Gaia had their backs up against the wall even when they had the point.
Yeah, and I think that it was a crucial mistake to allow Best Buds to take control of the point that when the fight was still breaking out, when there was no clear, winner or loser yet decided. That happened twice, and Best Buds was able to get a very significant amount of percentage on the board because of that. I think Gaia needs to try and hold on to their point a little bit harder because all of that could have been theirs. Their percentage. And I think both of these maps could have looked very different had they held on to those points with a little more fervor.
Yeah, definitely. It takes a little bit of more coordination than your normal like brawl composition, right? The Wrecking Ball comps require a lot of people to swap in and out to contest the point, but it would have paid dividends at the very end because uh, once that Reinhardt composition takes control of the point, it's almost impossible to uproot it as the Wrecking Ball comp, right? They have to like create like three different crossfires, and even then they need to wait for the right opening. They need to drag out the fights as long as possible because the Lucio Moira comps don't have a ton of sustain on them, right? Once the Moira's out of heal juice, all
Yep.
of a sudden, the Best Buds lacks a distinct amount of healing, and then you can collapse, but that wastes a lot of time. So Gaia tried to speed up the process, didn't quite work, and they just weren't able to recapture the point after giving it up so willingly.
Yeah, exactly. And now we're gonna get Watch Point Gibraltar banned by Best Buds, and I think that's an excellent move right there. They know that Gaia likes this dive, and banning a map that really where really dive is the only option, just kind of a big blow, I think, to Gaia as well. They're going to be hard pressed to, I think, find another good map. Maybe we're going to see Numbani, though, because while it's not a popular map, it does have considerable high ground, and I think it would play into Gaia's hands a little bit more. But there's plenty of maps to choose from, and excited to see where they decide to post what could be their final defense in this series.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Honestly, I could also see them possibly going for Rialto just because
Hmm.
that's kind of like one of those maps that you can play literally anything at any point
Right.
in time. The meta almost doesn't matter on Rialto just because it has so much high ground, it has so much open space, but it has tight corridors too for that brawl. So honestly, I think both teams will be happy to run it. I'm not sure if Gaia wants to though. I definitely could see Numbani playing more into their favor. So I think if I were on Gaia, I'd be thinking, yeah, maybe Numbani is good. Actually, is Numbani in the map pool?
That's actually a very good
Uh,
question. I should
it
double
is
check that. Let
not.
me see if
Eichenwald
I can
is.
pull it up.
So yeah,
Ah,
Eichenwald, Kings Row, Blizzard
Eichenwald.
World. So they
Eichenwald
can't.
might be a choice. Yeah, Eichenwald might be a choice actually, because
Yeah.
even though the Wrecking Ball isn't necessarily super strong there on second point, I feel like it's a good choice. And in addition, a Pharah comp, like a Pharah ball comp, could be very good on Eichenwald. We haven't seen any Pharah play come out yet from either side, but Doomed on that Echo, great substitute, maybe even better.
Okay, well, yep, they do end up choosing Rialto, so I guess they're just kind of going with the normal pick. I guess that's a pretty common map. I think it's one of the most common escort maps I've personally seen in my time watching,
Yeah.
Overwatch tournaments. Um, they can just run it down. They don't really have to care about Best Bud's comfort zone because everyone's comfortable on this map. So
Yeah.
we'll have to see. I wouldn't expect anything too crazy from either of these teams. I think they've kind of locked in their comfort zone at this point.
I think you're right. And to me, like Rialto, it's kind of like the night market pick, right? Or the night market of Lijiang Tower, where, like you said, you can't run just about anything you want, right? Night market a little more restrictive than Rialto, but similar in that regard. And so, I think overall, this Best Bud's coming into this last map a little bit of the favorite to take it. I think, and it's going to be up to Gaia to really pull something out of their bag of tricks and show them that they're not out of this yet and that we want to go to a map 5.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Especially on a map like Rialto. We already saw Sloth very briefly on the very end of King's Row defense for Best Buds. He pulled out the Widowmaker, got like 3 picks, and then died, right? Widow is terrifying on Rialto
Yeah,
first point on either
yeah, it is.
side. So maybe put Sloth on Widow, see what happens, maybe just for the first push, see. They have plenty of time. I mean, Rialto is one of those maps where you can see a hold on first, second, third point. Really, the
Yeah.
entire map is very difficult to push through. So a little bit of flexibility there in terms of the defense for Best Buds. We will actually get to see what they want to run first and foremost. I'm fully expecting like the brawl composition, right? Maybe a little bit of
Yeah.
customization on the side of Sloth, but otherwise, why change anything up? They're currently winning. The last
Yep.
map was rather dominant. Um, I wouldn't take anything Gaia's playing right now in Spawn too seriously because they're still in Spawn. And it looks like, yeah, pretty much the same old from Best Buds at the very least. Sloth on the Hanzo. Makes a lot of sense. Long sight lines. Dragons is crazy powerful, especially in the first half of this before you get to the courtyard of first point. So I can't really act surprised at this.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty standard look coming out from Best Buds. Best Buds really on their best comp at the moment. Kai decides to troll a little bit and throw themselves off the edge of the map into one of the canals, but they're back in. I was curious as to whether or not they were going to swap, but no, it looks like they just wanted to clean off their mech a little bit and bit off more than they could chew in that water. So they're going to be back into this defense in short order. Fidelum does go over to the Diva, which I was expecting to happen as well. And yeah, no real big surprises coming out from each side. Haven going over to that Ashe, a nice middle ground, between like a Hanzo and a Cassidy and that Widowmaker. So excellent choice there as well. Gonna provide a lot of point pressure with the Bob that comes online too, whenever that does in fact happen. Cart already pushed up to this second corner where really the action begins to start in earnest. We've got Best Buds grouped up very tight together, but they are going to find Sloth out in the open. Going to try and take them out of the fight, but it's going to be Orion who actually falls first. Going to be a counter pick coming in for in favor of Best Buds 2, as a matter of fact. So now they've seemed to turn things around, but IBTV says we're not done yet, and Sloth is removed from the fight.
Yeah, that was pretty good high ground control from Gaia to start the fight, but it felt okay. Well, I shouldn't speak too soon because IBTV is obviously not done, and Astronex is still there as well. So this is getting a little bit hairy for Best Buds. But I was gonna say Gaia had really good control of the high ground to start things out. Best Buds did a great job of rotating and just collapsing in on them. Sloth sent to timeout into the corner and very quickly back to spawn. You have a little bit of a conga line starting, chasing after Astronexus, but he does get out. Really split engagement here from both sides.
Yeah, it really is, and I feel like that is split engagement definitely gonna favor Gaia. Once while Best Buds were grouped up and looking tight, things looked good, but as soon as they started to pick them apart and push them in different directions, they got disorganized, and that's when they really fell apart. Best Buds now trying to stay grouped up on this 4, but Hammer decides to charge in pretty aggressively. Astro Nexus drops the minefield in that little area to the side there, splitting up Kai from the rest of Best Buds. But Orion coming out huge with a Coalescence. Shatter does connect as well, takes Astro Nexus down onto the ground along with Doom. But it's going to be Fidelum who falls first. Haven coming in big, though, with a Bob and a couple of headshots, so it's not over yet. And Astro Nexus back in the fight now. Self-destruct doesn't catch anybody in this point. Looks like it is just about ready to go over that line of potential and partial victory right here at the end of first point. With Sloth and Backstab falling, that's going to be largely in favor of, I was about to say Gaia, but Counterpick's still coming in. This fight is not over. Doom coming in big butt Caffeine with a nice Death Blossom, and Kai is able to get Astro Nexus off the map.
No.
It's still anybody's game, but I think Best Buds looking slightly in favor here. They are going to hold at the last moment, just with Kai and Redux and Sloth there to push back on Gaia.
Yeah, right here where the card is, and this final turn as a whole is very much in favor of the defense for respawn advantage. Oh dear, I just noticed Sloth has Dragon Blade, and where even is Sloth? Okay, he's in his own backline. I was curious to see if he was in the Gaia's backline, because that would definitely be right up his alley. But There's the beats. I'd expect the lead to come in, right about now. There you go. Catatrix is very much in danger.
Oh,
Maybe
but
not.
they're able to. Doom is able to take Sloth out of the fight despite all those extra shields coming out from Redix there. And now Bob committed on the back of a couple more picks coming out in favor of Gaia. And with less than 30 seconds left on the clock, they are primed to take this first point. They're going to get to see second, and we're going to get to see how Best Buds opts to defend this next point.
Oh, Sloth even gets the bad spawn. I just noticed that's not great for them. That's a good amount of burst damage now gone. At the very least, they still have caffeine on the front line, so they can prevent Gaia from getting a little bit over ambitious. But it doesn't seem like they really. Okay, well, now they do want to.
That they are. The minefield yields results already. Another pick comes in favor. The main takes in the big heals out of the lineup for Best Buds. Gaia going to be able to push in much harder now. And look at how far forward they're taking this fight. The cart's just getting to roll through the streets of Rialto with hardly any contest coming in.
Yeah, well, you have Best Buds recontesting, but I mean, what ultimates are they going to have? Hammer's Shatter, which, to be fair, there's not much of an answer to it, but Sloth dies so early. Are they really going to be able to take a full engagement the way they want?
Yeah, it's gonna be unclear at the moment. Shatter does come in and Doomed is removed from the fight, but it's still anybody's game at the moment. The cart has been stopped, and Best Buds mounting a nice defense here for Delum coming out with a self-destruct to try and remech. But we've got Backstab Bud in the back line of Gaia. They're going to take Haven out of the fight, and with that, the rest of Best Buds start to push in. Fidelum does get a counter pick onto Hammer, but I don't think it's going to be enough, and Best Bud's going to be able to hold on here. At least for the time being. It looks like a big recontest, though, going to be coming in right on the heels of that pick from Gaia. No, they are going to take a couple of moments to regroup.
You have to if you're Gaia, right? It gets a little bit too sloppy and you start wasting too much time. I know for a fact I'm not the first person to make this comparison, but Hammer's playstyle reminds me of Bumper from Season 2 of Overwatch. Very much. Just like, charge, doesn't matter if I die. If I get value, it's worth it, right? Something about solo shattering a Tracer is hilarious to me, and it works. That's the sad part.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of times, you hear people say if you can get one kill off of a shatter, you've found value. Self-destruct comes in from Kai, looking to get a little bit of value of their own. They're able to keep the point from progressing for a moment or two, but it's back under Gaia's control now, and they are starting to push heavily into Hammer in that back corner right there. The shatter does come in. Astronex taken out of the fight, but the pick's coming in for Gaia. They're going to get this point close to completion, but Backstab Bud coming in with a Death Blossom Caffeine, doing a lot to try and keep them in this fight, and it yields big results as they're able to hold on. Once again, there's just 10 seconds left, and with Sloth popping this blade as well, it's all but over for Gaia. Can anybody even contest this point or get there in time? Overtime is triggered barely, but it's going to be up to Astronexus to come up with a miracle, and it's not in the books for them this time around.
Yeah, well, I guess Orion and Kai wanted to join their hamster buddy in the Bay of Venice, as it were, but yeah, there's one thing that I haven't really had the opportunity to point out, but it's honestly been fascinating from an analyst perspective, and that's the silent war happening in the backlines, technical backlines of these teams, right? The support lines have completely different playstyles. Orion and Red X are like hyper aggressive, right, in the faces of the opponents, not necessarily with their team, whereas Catatrix and IBTB are definitely more passive, but equally as bloodthirsty. And it's fascinating to see who can get more value depending on who's attacking, who's defending, what map it is, right? It's not necessarily one style is better or worse. It just kind of plays into the team compositions, but certainly over this past round, it felt like Red X and Orion were getting more value just because Best Buds were so hyper aggressive and didn't allow Gaia to breathe whatsoever. To the point now that Gaia are teasing at least the Orisa. I don't know if they're going to stay on it or not, but
yeah, it is an interesting pick. They are going to stick with it. They're going with kind of this anti-dive composition with a couple different like variations to it. Doomed on this Echo, very interesting choice, especially considering they don't have a Mercy there to back them up. But we've seen them get tremendous value in this throughout this tournament, so don't want to count them out just yet.
Certainly not. And a quick message from Orion in match chat, quote, please vote for me for MVP. I am the only reason Hammer does not currently have 35 deaths per 10. Fair. Fair. So keep that in mind because the poll is still open for now. But great start for
yeah.
Backstab Bud, aka Caffeine.
Yeah, that is a good start. Already the bunker composition being pushed very far back. Hammer goes in with another death-defying charge. Runs into the fortified Astro Nexus, though. They're going to back up and try to keep this pressure on the shield of Hammer. But look at this. I mean, they're already here at the end of first point, and no picks coming in, despite a lot of rotations having been taken so far. This composition not doing, I think, what it needs to do. They're barely there at the last moment, but Ryan has this Coalescence online, and once again, they're doing tremendous work with it. Bob committed by Haven, as well as the Immortality Field to keep their team up, and now there's an amplification in there as well. And look at the damage coming out! That is just tremendous. They played that perfectly. I was skeptical, but they needed to wait for those ultimates to come online, and when they did, they destroyed what Best Buds was bringing forward.
Not the most damage I've seen ever in Overwatch, but that's a close contender, you know. I don't know if it can beat a nano-boosted bongoed Bastion shooting through a BAP matrix, but it's probably close. So, either way, you have Best Buds taking a little bit of a weird rotation, minus Sloth, who is dealing with Doomed in the backline. Doomed also has that duplicate, so I'd expect to see a Genji duplicate if I were him. Free Dragon Blade, why not?
I would imagine. Oh, they go into the Lucio. I think that might have been a mistake. They are immediately removed from that duplicate Astro Zenix with another Supercharger online. Haven just about to get Bob online again as well. And this is looking really rough now for Best Buds. They're being stymied at every point along this route.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that plays a little bit into just Gaia playing a bunker composition, right? And where the cart at least was, now it's moving backwards. So it'll be less of the case for the time being. But Gaia does have the spawn advantage for the time being. If the cart moves back a little bit further into the courtyard, maybe it becomes more even. But Best Buds need to have that closing power, which they do now, technically, with the Dragon Blade. But they need to get value out of it.
The shatter does come in, lies Bob on the ground, and now the picks are coming in hand over fist for Best Buds. This is going to be a dominant fight win for them.
Yeah, I don't think the Bob from Haven is really going to do much. Just stalled for a brief second, even Doom to get staggered, and no one can touch. Look at the ultimates that Best Buds still have. They only use Coalescence and Shatter. That's not a normal combo, but I mean, you take those if you're Best Buds. That's a great ult economy booster.
Yeah, right.
Oh, dear.
Oh, here comes the blade from Sloth. The rally has been committed though by Catatrix, and I think that's going to put an end to it. Yeah. Yeah, Zoning Blade. Yeah, there we go. moves Gaia back just a little bit. But now they're going to get another chance to hold here, and this high ground is very, very powerful. Redx once again with the sound barrier. Hammer goes down, which isn't unusual for them, but they once again have gotten a lot of space. And Sloth able to get a pick out onto Haven, and this card is just continuing to move. But IBTB able to get a counter pick as well, and that's going to put a stop to a lot of the shenanigans that Best Buds have been up to.
Yeah, definitely. They're just going to rotate back around the bridge. Actually, no, they don't even need Sloth to push in. They're just saying, you know what, we got this. 5v6. We got Death Blossom, that counts for 2 DPS, right? Although Gaia does have a lot of ultimates and they're making a lot of space. They're kiting quite a bit. Haven actually on that Cassidy as well, so that's going to be a lot more poke damage than the Tracer they were on.
Yeah, that will be Doomed once again, going over to the Reaper in the back line of Best Buds. They get pushed out, though, fairly quickly. And now, Backstab Bud out of the fight, and crucially, they had that Death Blossom. That was a big win condition for him, and that is just a demolishing victory right there for Gaia.
Crucially as well, because keep in mind, the Golden Box victory is, just before second point. So Gaia really didn't use too many ultimates there. They have basically 3 online. If they can win this next fight with just 2, and this one included, it could get pretty ugly for Best Buds.
That it could. Doomed and Fidelum already coming up with some big value. Sloth does get a counter pick. Orion throws themselves off the point to try and reset. But yeah, looks like P9 was maybe incoming, but
always have that cold chill run down your spine.
Right? And you know what? Look at the ultimates that were committed for that fight win from Gaia. they're not looking in a very good position right now, especially
Yeah.
considering what Best Buds has online. This is going to be Best Buds'
Oh,
fight to lose, but look at
who
that.
needs
Dude
ults?
already takes Sloth out of the fight.
Oh wait, this is starting to get a little bit even. Those are two pretty strong burst DPS, and Best Buds
Yeah.
have a lot of ults still to contest. So
That they
this,
do a... Oh,
oh
that
no.
coalescence from Orion, though, hardly finding any value as the rest of Gaia was still up on that high ground. Death Blossom comes in, but doesn't find anything, and now the picks once again coming in favor of Gaia. Less than a little bit more than 30 seconds to go, and Best Buds just had their best chance, I think, at capturing this point. Slip through their fingers, but still no ultimates online yet for Gaia.
Best Buds has obviously one more fight, but they have a good possibility here, but they need to rotate faster than they've ever rotated, and that's saying something for Best Buds. But they have the bomb, they have the blade, they have the shatter. Run in, press Q all at once, and see what happens.
All right,
Especially because the window's not going.
Oh, Red X is gone. There's not going to be any sound barrier to try and keep them up. The self-destruct now committed by Kai to try to find some value. It's not going to get anything except an immortality field, but IBTB is down. Hammer doing a tremendous job right there. They throw in the shatter, but don't find anything. And once again, this is looking a little bit better for Best Buds. They got the coalescence online, but there is a self-destruct from Fidelum that takes Orion out of the fight. Crucially, the Bogos have been taken out as well after Zenix not finding a ton of value in them. This could be anybody's fight still, but it is looking to go in favor of Gaia. We're gonna see a map 5 today, Acronator. That's on the menu, and I am excited for it. What a game we have had so far.
Well, Gaia adapted, finally. It feels like, as of late, Best Buds has gotten the better of them in a lot of these Tier 3 tournaments, right? But it felt more like Gaia just being uncomfortable with adapting the way they needed to, and it feels like finally they just did that right now, right? They can still run the Wrecking Ball comp day and night, but when it calls for it, you gotta be ready to swap to something to actually answer back to an opponent that's currently winning, right? They were on match point, they needed to win that. They were about 2 meters away from ending the series there.
Yeah.
So that was a great response from Gaia, in all honesty. Catatrix getting the 10th vote there. I'm not sure if the stream caught that, but yeah, some main support love because we don't talk about them enough.
Yeah, that is true. Catatrix did a great job of shutting down Sloth, I feel like, in a lot of those engagements, and it really prevented that Genji pick from getting a lot of value. And, you know, I was a little bit surprised by it, and I wonder if maybe if Best Buds hadn't gone with a more conventional pick, they would have seen a little bit better results. But we're headed to a map 5, and I cannot wait. We've seen some amazing action already. Lots of maps have been banned. We're going to get one more in here from Gaia, but now I believe the momentum has shifted into Gaia's favor after a win like that.
Certainly possible. However, Best Buds, of course, does have the map pick after Gaia gives their ban. So there is still the potential. I mean, let's look at the map pool even. So we got what's still available even.
A good question.
Oasis is still available. Let's see. I don't think we have any more escort maps available. Hanamura is available. Anubis is available, and Eichenwald. So one of those 4, I think, if my math is correct. Been a few years since I got out of college, so it's too many numbers.
Math is the first to kind of go out the window, I feel like, after you graduate. You know, it's one of those, if you don't use it, you lose it, and frankly, I'm not too disappointed in that myself. But, yes, Gaia's still waiting to choose that map ban, but another reminder that the MVP voting is still going, and I gotta tell you, there's a lot of great choices. I think that you can make a lot of great cases you can make. It looks like both teams really appreciated Catatrix play, so I think it is perfectly reasonable to think that we could see a support pick coming here as well. We do have the ban, and I personally am disappointed. I love this map. I wanted to see it, but we will not be going to Eichenwald today. Sorry to say for any of you out there who are fans of it, along with myself. So that just leaves Oasis and a few others, I think, left. Not too many choices.
Yeah, honestly, if you're Best Buds, I don't think you pick Oasis. Oh, well, okay. Prove me wrong. The reason I was going to say that is because it plays very heavily into Wrecking Ball compositions, but I have to trust that Best Buds know what they're doing here. I, it certainly is going to play into Gaia's comfort picks, but maybe they're trying to pull an old switcheroo and do something. I don't know. There's certainly possibility to shut down the Wrecking Ball comp. It's definitely not like the hard meta right now. There are other options, as we've seen, throughout this tournament, throughout this game, even.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe they tossed Sloth on Sombra and it works a little bit
Right.
better than it did in that one push they had on Gardens on Lijiang. So I don't know. I am
Yeah.
eager to see what happens.
As am I. You know what I am thinking though is maybe Best Buds wanted to keep Gaia off of that kind of counter dive composition pick that we saw coming out last, right? Because that Orisa, along with the Ash and Baptiste, proved an immensely powerful force to be reckoned with. I mean, I thought that Best Buds was cruising to a victory in very short order on that first point of Rialto, but they were stopped by a force at the last moment there. Just getting that Bob, the supercharger, and the amplification matrix out meant that there was just no standing in the way of the onslaught of damage that was coming there. So it could be that they're looking to put them back on this Wrecking Ball composition, feeling that maybe they have a better chance against that instead.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. It is true that Best Buds was beating Gaia while they were playing this Wrecking Ball comp, and you even have Best Buds teasing the Wrecking Ball comp, which I guess isn't too surprising because this submap of Oasis Gardens is actually quite good for this, especially if you have Sloth on the Doomfist, right? You don't even necessarily need anyone to deal with Doomed on the Echo, but Hammer does tease the Reinhardt as well as the Roadhog, so don't take anything he's doing too seriously until the gates open up in a few seconds, because these players like to meme a bit. Yeah, sure enough, they're sticking with Old Reliable from Best Buds and Old Reliable from Gaia, so no fancy stuff this time around.
No, that is definitely true. We're going to see just what we expected to out of each of these teams. Once again, Best Buds coming out with the high ground positioning, but they're going to give it up and actually try and rotate around to the entire back. Maybe try and catch out a couple of the support that Gaia is running out with, but they're going to be able to roll around just as efficiently and kite away as well. They're looking to surround this Brawl composition as best they can. We have an engagement coming in from Astra Nexus. They go down very low. It's going to be Sloth who meets their demise early, though, at the hands of a focusing beam from Doomed. And now, things are really going to be opening up for this dive composition. Hammer trying to push on this D.Va. They are going to get the D-Mech and the kill onto Fidelum as well. So now it is a 5v5. But crucially, Best Buds are going to have the reinforcements first. Counter picks coming in, though, for each side. Once again, Orion out of the fight with that big source of healing down. It's just up to Redex to keep their team up. And that's not going to be the case for very long. Gaia gonna come away with this first point capture until Backstab Bud has something to say about it. Things are looking a little iffy now, but just barely by the skin of their teeth. I think this point is going to go the way of Gaia.
There's something so hilarious about just watching Caffeine Wraith walk into Gaia's backline, take 2 shots, kill 2 people, and then die immediately thereafter. It's almost poetic in a way. But either way, you do have Gaia with a distinct ult advantage, specifically the Transcendence from IBTV is going to give them a lot of sustain.
Yeah, that it is. Now the minefields have been committed on point. There's not a good way for them to go up to that high ground. Transcendence has to be committed by IBTV to stay alive. Pulse Bomb was eaten as well by Fidelum. So nothing coming out from there. Look at the kills coming in for both sides. Was that another Lucio duplicate right there?
Yep.
It sure was. Doomed gets that sound barrier online, and I'm loving this play from both teams today. The point does flip over in favor of Best Buds. Once again, they're starting to proc percentage here, and if they can make this fight last a long time, even though it looks like they are kind of losing it at the moment, they're going to get a lot of percentage online. Death Blossom committed. Now it doesn't yield anything. And in fact, the kills continue to come in now for Best Buds. They retook the point, and they're going to take this fight as well. Gaia just giving the point up a little too easily again, I think.
Yeah, you really got to keep someone on point, and it's probably going to be up to Fidelum in the 2 DPS. Maybe a little bit of Astronex, but you kind of want your Wrecking Ball in this case to set up plays and like disruption, right? Probably have Haven there as well, because that's kind of the whole point of the Wrecking Ball comp. So more so probably Doomed and Fidelum, because they have like the most vertical mobility as well. And Best Buds don't really have an answer to that necessarily. I'd expect to see an engagement with the Minefield. Yep, there you go.
Yeah, gonna go right onto Redix right there. Kai finds a pick onto Doom, so there's not gonna be a lot of pressure coming out from Gaia. And with another pick coming in, this fight is almost over before it starts. But this kind of composition that Gaia is running can come back in fights, especially if someone like IBTB continues to pop off, taking Caffeine out of the fight. But Best Bud's gonna push very hard against this Gaia team. They're gonna back him up almost to spawn. And with 80% on the board, it's Gaia's do or die time. Catatrix pops the rally to get back in this fight. Doom takes Kai out of the fight, and with that, they're looking pretty good. But Sloth finds the counter pick as well. Orion pops this Coalescence. Shatter is layered in, doesn't find any value this time around, but they're likely going to build it up really quick once again. Haven coming out huge with a couple of picks. The DPS for Gaia really waking up right now, looking to have the advantage in this fight, especially now that Caffeine is gone too. That's going to be Gaia reclaiming this point.
At the very beginning of that fight, I guess it started out as like the end of the previous fight because there was no real clean transition, but IBTB really just said, "You don't stagger me, I stagger you." he has so few deaths, it's disgusting in all honesty, but either way, got quite a bit of a climb for Gaia to get their way to claiming this round, and Best Buds have a few ultimates that could make this a little bit ugly to Gaia. If
they could. Oh, IBTV coming in big already. Once again, the sound barrier there from Redix to try and keep the remaining members of their team up. D.Va able to find the pick on the hammer, and this hold is gonna be good for Gaia.
They're a little bit slow on engaging during like the rotations from Best Buds, but Gaia are forcing a good amount of displacement and then collapsing in on them, right? So they definitely could be playing a little bit faster, but then again, it's hard to play faster than Best Buds. So I kind of understand their pain. So fair enough.
That is very true. Redix already removed from the fight, so Gaia looking primed to take this fight as well. We've got a Death Blossom on the ground, but the Transcendence is there from IBTV. Coming in clutch again, Orion with the Coalescence. Gonna be removed by Haven, though the Minefield now committed by Astro Nexus as well. And with that, Gaia looking primed to take this first sub-map. Doomed is out of the fight, but it's not going to be enough to reclaim this point for the forces of Best Buds. They're going to go down 0-1 here as long as they can finish off these last few picks. IBTB, the silent carry from the backline, gone, but it's going to be Gaia at the end of the day.
That was pretty hairy at times for Gaia, but they definitely did a great job of keeping composure. I think Haven on that Tracer had a phenomenal performance. To put it lightly, right? They kind of reminds me of Doomed from a few maps ago, I believe, also on the Tracer. Yeah. They're just literally everywhere at the same time in existence. So it was pretty darn impressive. Now we're seeing a little bit of a tease for a stereotypical Rein Zarya brawl. I don't know if Gaia is going to stick on it, but if there's ever a map to do it and not a Wrecking Ball composition, this is probably because Wrecking Ball's really awkward on this round of University.
Yes, it is. This is almost brawl. This is brawl all day long right here. Astro Nexus, first time we're getting to see this Reinhardt coming out from them. They're going to push forward very quickly. Kai goes down and is met immediately. Domed gets a nice freeze onto them. The Maywall now trying to section off a couple of other members of Best Buds. They weren't expecting the brawl to come out, and they are falling in front of the force that Gaia is pushing out with. This fight going their way handily, and now Best Buds on the back foot. They're in the losing position, I think, for the first time, or rather in the underdog position for the first time in this series.
Just about, yeah. I mean, they definitely were not expecting Gaia to come out on Brawl of all things. I don't think they've run it at all this series, even in King's Row. So this is completely out of left field, especially now that I think this is the first time we're seeing Mei this entire series. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I think you are. We haven't seen one yet, and that's, you know, I was wondering what was missing. Now I know what it is. IBTV pops a window into that small room. Hammer goes down immediately. Kai gets frozen. The shatter from Astro Nexus is big. And Gaia is making a statement right here saying, no, no, no. We're going to meet you on Brawl, and we're going to do it a little bit better. At least that's the way this has started out.
I have a question for Gaia. IBTV's, quite frankly, a crackhead on Zenyatta, but why wasn't this man on Baptiste the entire time? Because he just ramped it up to 11. Maybe it's just the pressure of map 5 and they're that close to winning, but like, look at the ultimates on the side of Gaia. They have Blizzard alone could win a fight.
Yeah, that it could. We're gonna see the we're gonna see the photon barrier committed first. Slotho's gonna find Valiant with that. The dam starts to break. The levy is failing. Oh, but look at the self-destruct kill. They're coming back in this. Gaia says no, we're down, but we're not out, and we're gonna retake this fight for our own and send Best Buds back to spawn. This is now Best Buds with their backs against the wall. This is getting close to last fight territory. I think they've got only one more shot at this, and they've just got 4 ultimates coming online to make it happen. And this is going to be their best opportunity to win it. But the Shatter goes straight into a shield.
No,
It does get right past Astronexus and takes Fidelum out. But Catatrix is there with the sound barrier, and Astronexus has already taken Hammer out of the fight. This is Gaia's to lose now. A couple picks coming in from each side. Those Death Blossom now committed. And it's going to be big. It's gonna bring Best Buds back into the fight. They're gonna be able to come back, retake this point, but they've got to finish out these last few staggers. Doomed goes down. And now with the D-Mech on the Fidelum as well, it's all but over. Gaia gonna have to try again. Best Buds live to fight another day.
If you're a guy, you have to give up that point, right? You have so much time. You don't need to waste ultimates. You don't need to give the opponent any ultimates because they use so many. They use, what, the Shatter, the Beats, both DPS ultimates. I mean, they're going to come up on the Coalescence anyways, but that's basically a cooldown, much like Pulse Bomb, so no point in worrying about that one. Just set up Astronexus with a good Shatter and win the next fight, you know? Nice and easy.
Yeah, absolutely. We see that Gaia's really taking their time here. They know they don't want to push it fast. They have this barrier online now, the photon barrier from Haven, and they're going to use it to start things out early. Doom's going to get this. The Shatter comes in over Master Nexus, does find 2. Orion goes down very low, and Hammer's out of the fight. Crucially, they had the Shatter online. 2 picks, make it 3 in favor of Gaia. They're coming back in this. 40% on the board for Best Buds. The self-destruct is in as well from Kai. They get the remech kill on the Doomed in the small room. Best Buds isn't out of this yet. Gaia's still looking to try to take this point, but Hammer's back in the fight now. They do have their main tank back. The Shatter's gonna come in. It catches Haven off guard, but the Immortality field is there from IBTV. What a clutch play from them. Fidelum throws out the self-destruct, and once again, Best Buds looking a little worse for wear as Astronexus is coming online now and coming alive. Haven has the pick, and this is looking devastating for Best Buds. They're going down like flies, and Gaia gonna be able to retake this point. Somebody from Best Buds has to touch. Is there gonna be time to? Can Hammer get there? No, it's not gonna happen. Gaia comes back after going down early, takes this series 3-2. What a game, Acronator. What a game.
I'd have to go back and look at these guys' records, but I swear, it feels like every single series between these two teams goes to a map 5 at least. I've seen at least one map 6 from them as well, so this is ridiculous, and I love this rivalry so much. It's probably one of the best NA Tier 3 rivalries we have right now.
I would agree. I would agree wholeheartedly. What a performance we saw today from both teams. We know this. But these are 2 teams you absolutely have to keep your eye on. They are top tier 3 Overwatch. Absolutely. I mean, this is just tremendous. What a treat that we got to watch this matchup. And we're not over yet. We've still got the MVP voting online, but it will be closing soon. So get those votes in fast. The players are sticking around for that potential post-game interview. So don't worry. We're going to have that coming to you soon. But I mean, there's so much you can talk about with this game. So many incredible moments.
Definitely, and one thing I would like to point out is that this was still the upper bracket, right? So there's still the potential here for Gaia to work their way back up for a rematch the grand finals.
Best Buds.
Best Buds. Sorry, long game.
It was a long game.
I mean, of course, Gaia goes on to the winners bracket finals to face either G-Force or Bear Claw. I don't know if that game is already played or not, but either way, I mean, there's still plenty of opportunities for a rematch here, and it wouldn't be the
Oh
first
yeah.
time that that's happened. So, uh, if you like this rematch, you might be seeing more of it sooner than later.
Yeah, I think that is I think that's a very, very safe prediction that you could make. This could have been a preview of the grand finals that we just got to see. I would not be surprised at all if we see both these teams face off again in that final matchup. But there's still great teams out there, like you mentioned. So it's this whole tournament. Of course, it's not over yet. This series may be do still have the interview coming up, but be sure to tune in again for the next games coming up. I don't have the schedule in front of me at the moment, so I can't tell you right now, but you can find that out in the Discord. You can find that out on the website as well. But I gotta tell you, what a game. Is there anybody, if you had to pick, that you would give the MVP to?
Probably IBTB. It's really close for a lot of
Yeah,
people on Gaia, I think, as
yeah.
well as there's a lot of really standout people on Best Buds. But if we're just focusing on Gaia because they won, IBTB, like every single time Sloth went in the back line to go on a flank and like get a kill, right? And this is Sloth of all people, right? Like one of the biggest menaces of tier 3 DPS. And IBTB just shut him down. Ironically enough, it sounds like I predicted the actual MVP unwittingly.
Yeah,
Oh, looks like they
I I
are
would
not gonna do the interview though.
Yeah, unlucky. I would have loved to have had the opportunity to chat with IBTV because, you know, they were my choice as well. It seems like there's agreement all the way around that IBTV was a standout player today. I mean, it's unbelievable what kind of value they got for their team. The glass cannon Zenyatta can be so dangerous, and back long ago, I was a Zenyatta main. I am now a main tank player, as a matter of fact, a completely different area of the game. But I love seeing phenomenal Zenyatta play, and that is absolutely what we saw.
Yeah, and even the Baptiste, like I said, just
Yes.
really on that last round of Oasis. But I mean, the man turned it up to like forget 11, he went to like 21, right? Like he was in another dimension, like transcending Overwatch entirely, and just vibing his way to a victory. Because like some of the stuff he was doing, I was just spectating him for the majority of university. He was like legitimately in in Best Bud's backline, just shooting uh, shooting hammer in the back, while the rest of Best Buds were not even bothering to look at him, and then Gaia just pushing forward, and there's this beautiful collapse of Gaia just winning. There's no other
Yeah.
way to put it.
Yeah, the flank yada is real. It was today. So that's going to do it for our broadcast here tonight. But before we close out, I just want to give a quick thank you to Refused and everybody else at Star Esports who helps make this tournament happen. Thank you, Acronator, for joining me tonight on the microphone. Pleasure getting to work with you. First time, and couldn't have hoped for a better match to have watched with you and get to cast. And before we go, any final words you want to leave the audience with?
I got nothing more. I think the teams laid it out all on the line, left it all in the game.
That
The
they
games
did.
can only be insane from here on out. Looking at the bracket and
Yes.
the teams that are
Yes.
left, like it's only going to get better from here as the stakes get higher.
Yeah, you were absolutely right. Well, that's going to do it from us. Thank you so much for tuning in. There will be more Overwatch action coming your way later this week and through the next one. But that's going to do it for us. From myself, Warren Juggle God, Hammond, and Acronator here in the booth, GG's, and see you next time.
Live for nothing.